Men don't like women in our spaces. We know that's a known thing about men. Men don't like women in our spaces. We to invade women's spaces in more ways than one. We like to invade women's spaces, but we don't like when women are in our spaces because when men are alone, we are terrible. We are terrible.
To the single moms who take their son to the barbershop, let me put you on a little bit of game here. Stay out of the barbershop. That is for your son and for your son only. And I don't mean that disrespectfully. I'm just trying to put you on game in case maybe the father's not around, trying to help you out here.
You giving advice to women off the rip is disrespectful, but we're going to ignore that for now.
Let me explain something to you about a child going to the barbershop, especially at about the age of 8. The barbershop is a rite of passage for a child to conduct himself like a man. He's going to have a relationship or a friendship with a man.
This is where men are going to indoctrinate him.
That is his barber.
That's the rite of passage. The rite of passage is being indoctrinated.
Outside of family members, that he's going to tell things that he may not ever want you to be around to know. So, for example, that he likes a girl, that he's...
Wouldn't he want to tell his mother that? Just generally speaking, why wouldn't he want to tell his mother that? Why would he want to tell a stranger that or the barber that? And that's fine. I get why men think that boys would want to tell men certain things that they don't want to tell women. And I'm sure it's true to a certain extent. But generally speaking, this is all contingent upon the type of relationship the child has with their parents. That's really all it is. So I witnessed it with people close to me where the daughter and the son would go talk to the father. I saw a daughter tell their father that she just lost her virginity. She had just had sex for the first time, I should say, not lost her virginity. She had just had sex for the first time. She told her father that. She didn't tell her mama that. She told her father that. Her dad didn't, and she knew that he wouldn't because they had that type of relationship. And he was like, oh, and he went down and he got her condoms and he got her, you know what I mean? He took care of her. He made sure that she was safe and clean about it. You know what I mean? But he didn't judge her. He didn't abuse her. He didn't disrespect her. So she felt comfortable telling him that information. That's what it is. It doesn't matter if the mom or the dad, it doesn't matter. Whoever the child feels most comfortable with.
Getting ready to ask somebody to the dance or whatever, and that barbershop's going to say, oh, I got you. Say less. We're going to take care of that. That barber is going to take care of that kid for years to come, based off of the things.
Says who? People move all the time. You know what? You got it.
That child won't tell the barber anything if you are there, taking pictures and thinking that the moment's all cute. As men, we know this. So at a certain age, at about 8, we pull up to the barbershop, we give the child the cash, and we say, go handle your business.
I don't want a barber, and I love my barber, but just in general, I don't want some random man giving my child advice. So this already is off-putting on the rib. If you're an involved parent, why do you want some random, I don't give a, you know what I'm saying? I don't trust y'all like that. You're my barber. That doesn't mean I trust that you're going to give my son good advice. You think barbers are all knowing worldly men and shit like that? They're not. No shade, no tea to the barber profession because, again, I love my barber. That's my nigga. But no, generally speaking, absolutely the fuck not. No.
We sit out in the car. We let them sit there and wait. We let them sit there and conduct themselves in the bar.
I'm not letting my kid get advice from nobody that drink on their job. Let me shout out to all my barbers, man. Y'all my niggas, but I'm not letting my baby get no advice from niggas that drink on the job. Let's be real. Pull up to your barber late Thursday afternoon, 4:30, 5 o'clock. The motherfuckers they 2 Trulies in. You know what I'm saying? Let's be so fucking for real.
Go handle your business. We sit out in the car. We let them sit there and wait. We let them sit there and conduct themselves in the barbershop. Let the child figure out the haircut that they want. Let them understand the kind of style that they want. They're going to learn by trial and error and all that shit. And at the end of the day, the child pays with the cash, daps up the barber, and goes on about his business. If you are there, the mother, if you are there the entire process, even though you're meaning well, the child's not going to have a conversation with the barber, and the barber's going to feel a little uneasy about having a conversation with the child. So then they don't really.
This just proves that men don't understand what it takes to actually protect children, because why are you giving your 8-year-old child money and sending them inside the barbershop? I'm saying you can let them pay it. You can do the same thing when they're 8. give them the money, cool. They take it out their pocket. Hey, thanks for the cut. Dap them. You can do the same thing and you're just there, but you're protecting them too while you're like, why does, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm not sending my baby in the barbershop by himself. I'm not. And it's not to say I don't leave my baby alone for a few minutes at a time in the barbershop while I go to the restroom or I go walk to the other end of the shop and go talk to my other homies that are also barbers in the shop. No, I'm not leaving my son in the barbershop. No, I'm not doing that.
Having a conversation with the child, so then they don't really get into the deep-rooted things that a child would want to get into, having this relationship with the barber. So I know that you mean well, and maybe you just haven't been told this, but the best thing for you to do is to pull up, give the child cash. I don't care if they got Venmo, Apple Pay, whatever. Give the child cash. That helps them feel like they're a man. They can conduct themselves like a man. Let the barber know what he wants.
Typical of a man to get money from a woman and then act like they paid for it. That is typical. Training them early. Huh?
And then let the child pay for the cash with the tip involved, dap them up, and let them come out and feel good about that. They have handled that transaction themselves.
No, everything he said was pure bullshit. He just wants to keep women out of the barbershop space because it makes the other men uncomfortable. Sometimes you want a woman to pull up. I'm saying the barbers, they like when the women pull up so they can look at them and ogle the women and all that stuff. But for the most part, they don't want women in their spaces because, especially a patron, if you're a male patron, you don't necessarily want a woman in the space if you're that type of man. You're not a barber. You're not going to see that woman again. You probably ain't going to talk to her or whatever. Or you already got a wife or whatever. You want to go to the barber to get away from women so you could go do your locker room talk. So you could go say the ignorant, dumb stuff. So you could watch the women walk by the glass and you want to be a man or whatever that means for the next hour while you're getting your haircut. That's what it is. But he's trying to use the children to gaslight the mothers into thinking, oh no, it's a rite of passage for the boys. It's not, women. It's not a rite of, if you was even thinking of falling for that shit, I'm here to tell you it's not. It's some bullshit. That men just want to keep you out the barbershop because this is the real reason why men don't want women in the barbershop.
So I've been a barber for about 6 years now, and this is what I learned from heterosexual men. They don't like women. Almost 95% of dudes that sat in my chair was complaining about their girlfriend, how they hated being around her, and they just want to go hang with their homeboys. So I'm not saying that they're gay, but a lot of men don't like women. I was at one client house doing a house call, and his wife or fiance, whatever she wanted to be, walked in, and he just started, oh, where you was at? And he just said some of the most foul things in front of a guest on top of that. Guys will be more loyal to their homeboy, their barber, anybody else besides their female. I don't know what it is. And then the females, they be going for it. They also hated that she wanted to be a girl. How are you mad at a girl for wanting to wear makeup, for wanting you to buy her flowers, wanting feminine things? So it's like you don't want a girl. You don't want to be with her. You only want to be with her because it's to procreate. That's what y'all want to do. That's the only reason that you think about females. Outside of that, you don't want to talk to her. You don't want to hang with
Also to steal their labor.
her. You don't want to eat with her. You want to be with your homeboys, and that's cool. But I'm just making an observation. Or
100%. That's pretty much what I see a lot of men do. Or I've seen. I can't say that as of lately. That hasn't been the case. But also when I go to the barbershop personally, I know every barber in the barbershop that I go to. I've been going there for years. I say what's up to everybody. I talk to everybody. We all have personal relationships. You know what I mean, individually. So it's not like I'm only friends with my barber. So when I come in, I'm chopping it up with everybody. I don't be talking about my wife when I go in there. Not negatively. I might mention her or something like whatever. They know my wife. They met her. They've been over my house saying we done hung out, whatever. I don't have that type of relationship. The barber I had before that, he's one of my really close personal friends. Same thing. So me personally, I haven't partaken in that. But I definitely have heard men talk crazy shit about their partners. Crazy shit in the barbershop, without a doubt. And just generally just talk crazy about women. And just talk crazy about them, like things that they think and the things that they want to do and all that type of stuff. And they don't want women around to hear that. That's what it is. But when women aren't around, this is what men are saying. This is what a lot of men are saying.
Honestly, being a trans man in cis male spaces, sometimes I feel like a secret agent or some shit. Because a lot of times I don't disclose that I'm trans. Very rarely do I do it in a workspace. On my day-to-day life, I do not disclose that I am trans. So you can imagine being around cis men, the things that I hear. And I think about if I didn't transition, first off, if I never transitioned, I would have still never dated cis straight men because I was just gay.
They said absolutely not.
or lesbian. But it's just like, I don't know how to describe to y'all. I don't know how to put these things into words. If you're not trans, how to really talk about the transition from being a black woman in a society to a black man and then being in male spaces and hearing these type of things.
I think this is very similar to being an anti-racist white person in white spaces. And cool white people, the proverbial cool white person, they talk about it. They be exposing them white people all the time. They be like, do you guys know what they're saying when you guys are not around? You know what I mean? And they talk about it extensively. People wrote books on it, what white people are saying about black people and people of color when we're not around. Yes, I would, this is that. They got to see it from the other side. They didn't, I'm sure they knew that men were bad, but it's a difference when you get to hear men unencumbered, when you get to hear men unrestricted, and we just get to talk off the cuff. That's hot mic, Trump grab her by the pussy moments happen, right? That's when that stuff happens. So they are just giving their testimony as to what they actually experienced and what they've heard, I should say.
Just point blank period, you hear a lot of wild shit. They call it locker room talk. It's just, this talk is everywhere, that just men are together, and that could be at a bar, that could be just randomly passing by another man, you know what I'm saying? And so when we talk about gender and all these different things in relationships, it's hard for me to really side with men. It's hard for me, like cis men, and it's hard for me to tell cis women, oh, you're wrong. There's actually some men out, and I'm not trying to just go off my experience, but I've been out for 8 years, so I've been around a lot of different men in work environments, men who are married, have baby mothers, you name it. The stories I could tell y'all. And it's like, sometimes I ask myself, like, is there hope? Like, that's a different thing. Like, hetero relationships are not my ballpark, you know what I'm saying? When I get over here and talk about that shit, it's not my ministry, you know what I'm saying? Not in those. But do I see hope in them? I don't know. Like, the way that men are socialized and how they act when women aren't around, and sometimes when they act when women are around, I don't know. So I have some homegirls and some friends that I follow on here, women who are just straight decenter men, don't give a fuck about a man, and she's living her best life. Like, man can't do nothing for me. And some of y'all might see that as extreme, but I applaud my homegirls that are like that, because it takes
not extreme at all. Treatment that women suffer is extreme. So them reacting in a quote unquote extreme way, as in this instance, cutting men off, I totally understand. It doesn't seem extreme. Seems rational and plausible.
Too. And it's like, I understand that people want that love and they want to have somebody, but it's like, the love that these men are offering y'all, that they are offering, the shit that they're offering, I think that a lot of women are better off by themselves. If you ask me what I saw the future was, I see cis women just creating community with themselves and probably like having children, adopting children in their own villages. Like, that is the future, because these men, not only are they like showing up in these relationships and marriages, they're not showing up as fathers.
And we're not showing up in the community. We're not fostering a safe environment for everybody in our community. Definitely not for the children, not for the women, not for other men. So yeah, could see women creating whole communities, and men, might be some men in there, but just limiting men within the community. I could definitely see that, and that already happens. But yeah, it's gonna start happening more and more and more. I think it's gonna happen more naturally too. I don't think it's gonna even be like very like a deliberate like movement. I think it's just gonna be women doing the thing that feels natural and feels the best to them, and that's gonna be to be in community with a bunch of women. I can see them being like female apartment complexes. You know what I mean? Stuff like that are pretty dominated. I hate that in this country that like I've been suing because there are restaurants who have like night and stuff like that. I hate that it's possible. I think that women should be able to have their own spaces legally. The same way I think that children should be able to have their own spaces legally. I don't think that men should be able to have our own spaces legally. I think it's dangerous when we have our own spaces. I think that I do think that women and children and marginalized groups of people should be able to have their own spaces legally. Apartment complexes, the same way there's all girl schools. Why can't there be a ladies' night? Why can't there be an all female apartment complex? Yeah, I definitely think that that is something that we need to establish as a, our society.
And y'all be like, oh, kids need a dad or something. These men be in damaging the kid. Like, not fighting, bro. It's not, but like, and this video is already long enough, but I can't put it into words, y'all. Like, I'm trying to scare y'all. But I'm just trying to be real with y'all. It's bad. I have a lot of cis men friends. For that reason, I stay away from most of them. I can't bear it, and I don't like to babysit them. And let me tell y'all, in my experience, like out to clubs and shit, married men have been the worst people to go out with. I hate going out with them. They're like out with a nigga who's straight out of prison and hasn't been around a woman. And it's like, I don't know why they act like that. Well, let me not say all, but a lot of them. Yeah, my friends, trans men, most of my cis men friends, gay. So if I can't fathom even being in a friendship with a cis straight man, I can't fathom the need and the want to be in a relationship with them. Again, I'm not saying they're all bad. It's just, I understand the women who get on here and say, fuck all men.
Not all men are bad, but definitely most men are bad. And as a collective, we are bad. So I understand women rejecting us 100%, without a doubt.